Hey, Jen here. Welcome to another episode. Thanks so much for joining me. Today we're talking about how to get out of overwhelm, feeling like there's too much to do, and what to say to other people and to yourself when you hear the words, "You can't do it all, you can't have it all." And I'll let you know if I agree with that or not. In the meantime, I'm Jen Kunkel. I'm the creator of the Wild Worth methodology to help empower you to go from feeling insignificant, invisible, and unfulfilled, and instead to unleash your wild, savvy self, where you know exactly who you are, what you stand for, what you want your life to look like, and most importantly, that life doesn't have to look like what other people think it should or is supposed to. I don't do those. And that you enjoy the journey along the way. It's also really important, as a whole part of this, that you value your worth and you know that you are valuable. A lot of times we wrap our self-worth up in what we're doing, what we accomplish, how we do, how much we do for other people, or just how much we do in general, how much we accomplish, what we get done in a day, how productive we are. Well, you know what? Stop it. Because that does not indicate your worth. What you get done does not indicate your worth. So just stop it. Yeah. Okay, so I'm actually going to give you some more practical tips than that today. I'm not going to just say stop it and leave it at that. I think there was a Bob Newhart where he did that, or a meme or a video or something that was going around a few years ago, where he was just counseling somebody. I don't think he was a counselor in Bob Newhart. Anyway, it's teensy bit almost before my time. I sort of remember it, but anyway, maybe he was, and he was telling someone to stop it. Okay, so we're gonna get something a little bit more practical than simply stop it. So don't worry. If you're feeling like you are always having too much to, you just always have too much to do, and you feel like you're falling short constantly. You're putting too much pressure on yourself. And I know, because I've been there. I still do it sometimes. I feel like, oh gosh, I really wanted to make dinner tonight and I didn't get to that because something on the computer took longer than I thought it was going to take, or whatever the case may be. Or I decided to do yoga for longer than I meant to. Whatever it is. So, um, you know, we've all been there. We all have that issue where we feel like there's just too much to do, not enough hours in the day. Maybe you have kids and you have to take them to soccer practice and band practice or recital or rehearsals or whatever activities they're doing, and you're still trying to get dinner, and you want to eat healthier, but you end up going through the drive-through, and you feel like you're failing as a mom because you're not feeding your kids healthy enough food. No, you're not failing. You're doing your best. Okay, so we all are doing our best in any given moment. Remember that. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to give you some practical tips, but the underlying theme here is to give yourself a break. Cut yourself some slack. Don't put so much pressure on yourself, and really to make sure that if you don't get everything on your mile-long to-do list done, that you don't beat yourself up over it, because it's impractical. Maybe you're setting your expectations too high. Of course, we always want to all get it all done. Maybe not always, maybe not all of us, but that's, I get you. We want to get it all done. And, you feel like if you spend 30 minutes watching TV at night, maybe you should be doing something more productive with that time. It's kind of one of those social conditioning things where it's like, oh, if you're sitting on the couch, you're being lazy. You know what? That's not true. Sometimes you just need some time to decompress. I mean, every day we all need time to decompress. We need time out of the rat race, off that hamster wheel where you just go, go, go. And you also need, so very first thing is you need to just cut yourself some slack and recognize that if you do not do it all, it's okay. It's totally okay. It's totally normal. You're not the only one who is not able to accomplish 900 things in one day. Take a look at your to-do list, and maybe it's just in your head, maybe it's not written down because you haven't even had time to write down a list of things to do. So if that's the case, and you're feeling like I'm never checking everything off, yeah, it's because you have too many things on it and you are not giving yourself permission to take time for you. It's kind of social conditioning that we feel selfish if you take time for you. And that's not the case. Okay, so here's a couple of tips right now. And in fact, I'm going to give you this one first because it has to do with the to-do list. And I find it super useful. A long, never-ending to-do list is just impractical. If you think of something that needs to be done, sure, jot it down. Have like your, you can call it whatever you want, but it's just sort of your, maybe a wish list, you can call it. Just have a place where you write things down on one place, but that's not your actual to-do list. The to-do list is on a smaller piece of paper. Write down 6 things that need to be done. 3 things that absolutely must be done. This is actually my 3-6-9 methodology in a nutshell. 3 things that need to be done, that have to be done. 3 more things that you'd like to get done, and 3 more things that are going to be super easy to get done, super fast. Okay, so that's one tip. Just go by that list, forget about the big giant list, unless something else comes up, and then you write it down on the big giant list. And we'll address that in a different scenario, because the big giant list, okay, so here's tactic number 2, is maybe there's some things that you don't really need to get done. They don't really need to be done, or they can be delegated. So go through your big giant list when you have some time, and get rid of things. I mean, they're not being done now, right? So how necessary is it? How urgent is it? And is it your urgency, or is it someone else's urgency? This is where working through pillar number 1 of the Wild Worth methodology comes into play, because we look at who you are, your whole self, like what really matters to you, what's important, and that can help you prioritize, understanding that, having really a deep understanding of what's most important to you, what really matters, can help you make decisions on what really needs to go on that to-do list in the first place and what doesn't. So a lot of times there's things on there that don't need to go on there. So this kind of ties in delegating, especially if you have kids. If you have older kids, they can do so much by themselves. And I was babysitting when I was like 10 years old. So maybe that's probably considered a little bit young these days. So maybe we're just underestimating the kids. My boyfriend's son stays with us in the summertime sometimes, and he's 9 now. And yeah, he was, when he was little, of course, he needed a lot more help, like getting dressed and stuff like that. But I noticed my boyfriend will still try to like pick out his clothes for him and do things that I know he's capable of doing himself, because he does them when he's just with me. Anyway, he learned how to make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches before he came the last time, and he was so excited. Can I make a PB&J? And I was like, heck yeah, you can. I don't have any problem letting kids. I think it's empowering, to let your kids do things. And, when I watched him making it, he needed the little guidance because he was having some trouble. I mean, he got it done, but I said, hey, can I show you something easier to do? And, we did that. So you can help your kids grow by delegating to them, and your significant other, your coworkers. Maybe they're used to coming to you for things that they don't really need to be coming to you for. I know, I remember actually in my 20s, I was an administrative assistant, and someone brought something to me that was a different assistant's responsibility, because I worked for certain people, and then there was there was like three of us in the office and we worked for different people. And, there was, that's just how it was supposed to be done. I wasn't doing like, oh, that's not my job kind of thing. But I was just like, oh, wait, why didn't you ask so-and-so to do that? And I guess she had just flat out said she wouldn't do it for whatever reason, and she was trying to get people to do their admin work themselves. So I was like, wait a minute, something's fishy here. So where was I going with that? Yeah, okay. So she was doing a really great job of delegating. She was delegating back to the people she was supposedly working for. So, you know, I, that's not necessarily, don't take on things. My point really was, don't take on things that aren't yours to take on when you already have a full plate, especially if there's someone else that is designated to do those things. So that's like a coworker situation. Anyway, and then if you're running your own business from home, even more so, or if you have some side gigs or something, you need to like really streamline your time. And that's where systems come into play. You can have a system for everything. If you find yourself doing something repeatedly, well, first of all, ask yourself, do I really need to be doing this? It's kind of like decluttering. So you might know that I'm a minimalist. I've mentioned that before. If not, I'm a minimalist. So, and I find myself feeling so much lighter with less stuff. Less stuff is also going to give you less stuff to take care of, less stuff to maintain, and it's going to give you more time. But the process for decluttering is kind of the same for decluttering your like environment, right? So it's not just a physical decluttering, it's decluttering of your to-do list, okay? So you ask yourself, one, do I really need to do this task? Does this really need to go on my to-do list? And be really extremely harsh with yourself on this. And if it doesn't really need to be done, then don't put it on there. Don't do it. Don't write it on your big laundry, I'll do it later list. Do it, just take it off. Just say, okay, you know what? This doesn't even need to be done. Ask question number 2, can I delegate it? This would be like in your physical decluttering, or donate it or give it away, right? Yeah. So number 1 was throwing it away. You're just going to throw it away. It doesn't really even nobody needs it. It doesn't need to be done. Number 2, donate it or give it away, right? You can delegate it. Is it something that someone else could do? Yeah. And then number 3, it's something you love doing. It's something that you really need to do. It's something that's important to you. It's contributing to something that lights your heart up. Those are the things that you keep on your to-do list. What if your whole to-do list could all just be stuff that you just absolutely like love to do and that juices you up? Could you imagine that? Imagine a to-do list like that. How cool would that be? Now, it doesn't mean you're going to have that perfect, amazing, like I just love my to-do list every single day and starting, in 2 seconds from now. But it's something to strive for, right? What do you think? I think that's a great idea. And even if it's stuff like cooking dinner. Maybe you're not a big fan of cooking and you feel like you need to cook dinner. Maybe someone else in your household does love to cook, and that can be delegated. You can teach them to cook, or you can shift your perspective, or you can make it an event where everybody does it together, or you cook together, or you can make it like a game. And sometimes I do this. I actually really like to cook, but I find myself with less time to do that and less desire to do that than I used to. And I sort of make it a game. Like, how easy can I make something like coming up with meal plans that are super simple? Like, how fast can I make dinner? Like a good, healthy, nutritious, enjoyable dinner. Like, how fast can I do it? Stuff like that. Like, what kind of recipes can I come up with? So it's almost like you make it into a game so that it's fun. All right. So those are some tips for you to contemplate. I'm sure I'll be putting more out like this because there is so much that you can do to get yourself out of overwhelm and not feeling like you have too much to do. So stay tuned for more. I know this was already a little bit long, so I don't want to keep going. All right, let me know what you think, and if you want to see more like this, let me know. Have a fantastic day. Thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate you all. Much love, and remember, you're more powerful than you know.